Welcome to Mount Auburn Cemetery in Baltimore, Maryland. My name is Jesse Bennett, and I'm a volunteer research coordinator for the cemetery, and I've been volunteering here for the past 10 years. We're standing in South Baltimore, adjacent to the Baltimore-Washington Parkway at the intersection of Waterview Avenue and Annapolis Road. In 1732, landowner Charles Carroll of Carrollton purchased lots and consolidated them into a 2,600-acre plantation, which covered the present-day neighborhoods of Mount Winans, Morrow Park, and Violetville in Baltimore. In 1872, Reverend James Peck and the members of the historic Sharp Street Memorial United Methodist Church purchased this 34-acre property and established the first and only burial ground for Baltimore's African-American citizens. The cemetery was originally named the City of the Dead for colored people. In 1894, the cemetery was officially renamed Mount Auburn. On March the 10th, 1886, the Maryland State General Assembly sanctioned the trustees of Sharp Street Memorial Methodist Church to erect a small chapel on the property, establishing the Sharp Street Mission, now Mount Winans United Methodist Church. Since the early days of slavery in America, burial grounds for African Americans were not recognized as sacred places of burial unless they were attached to formal church buildings. As cities grew, burial sites were forced to the fringes of urban areas. Evolving from rural settings south of Baltimore City, Mount Auburn became a popular site for quality burials by predominantly Black Baltimore undertakers as they honed their trade. Mount Auburn Cemetery is a virtual who's who of the history of Baltimore's successful clergy, doctors, lawyers, pharmacists, military, educators, entrepreneurs, socialites, and other professionals who are buried here. This is the location of the grave for Frank Xavier Warfield. Mr. Warfield was a shortstop, played for many Negro League baseball teams. He became a manager for several Negro League teams. He died in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but had family and lived in Baltimore, so they brought his body back and they buried him here. There's a group that is going to put a marker down as they recognize Negro League players. And that will be done in the spring of 2023. This is the family plot of the Carroll family. Here we have a marker for Lily Mae Carroll Jackson, who's one of the founders of the NAACP in Baltimore. She is the mother of Juanita Jackson, who was admitted to the University of Maryland and became a civil rights pioneer. This is the family burial plot of John Murphy. John Murphy was the founder of the African American newspaper. His family was very influential in Baltimore at the time. Bishop Edgar Love, pastor of Sharp Street Church, the founder of Omega Psi Phi fraternity. His influence is still felt today. There's a celebration every year around Founders Day for that fraternity. Bishop Love was also the bishop of the Washington Conference at the time of the merger between Baltimore and Washington Methodist Conferences in 1965. This is a marker for the Young family. Louise Young does not have a marker, but she was such an influence in Baltimore. She was 14 years old when she graduated from Douglas High School. She went on to Howard University, got her license as an OB-GYN, the first African-American OB-GYN license in the state of Maryland. Louise's father was the first African-American pharmacist in Maryland. Baltimore's history is Mount Auburn's history. The growth of Mount Auburn in the 20th century reflects clearly the success of African Americans, citizens, not only in Baltimore, but Maryland and the United States.